All right, we're back for another week of the off season, and this time I'm going to focus on Chawy and kind of what he has done so far for the team and what I think we might be able to expect from him in the future. So let's talk some TSM. That's right. Welcome back to Talking TSM. And yeah, I really wanted to go over Chawi. I wanted to discuss kind of what we had seen out of him so far, the different circumstances surrounding him. And I felt like it was just time to have that conversation that I'd been promising you guys for the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to start with our question of the day. I'm not going to have it down here for you, but hopefully you're listening. And let me know in the comment section below. But what have your opinions of Chawy been? Would you keep him after the summer split, or would you not? And this is obviously assuming that TSM don't leave in some capacity. I'm hopeful that they won't at this point, because I feel like with all the talk of everybody potentially leaving, with there being buyers and everything, with CLG getting bought by NRG like almost 2 weeks ago, things were supposed to be moving pretty quickly, but it looks like somebody stopped, or there was a barrier in some way, because we haven't heard any other news. And I know on my end specifically, I haven't heard a lot. Now, I'm obviously probably jinxing it, and things will happen a lot this week. I'll make sure to cover it if they do. But regardless, I wanted to at least discuss Chawy. Now, here's the deal. Chawy has been in the ecosystem for 11 years now, since he was about 20 years old, which makes sense. Or no, it's 13 years. Goodness, 13 years. I'm just an idiot. So, since he was 18, also makes sense, right? He was a player for a really long time. He became a coach about 5 years ago. And, we've been seeing a lot of interesting things from him. He helped Hong Kong Attitude to be an okay team. He went to Brazil. They were all right. Went back to Hong Kong Attitude. They were all right. And then he came over to TSM and they were all right. But, when I look at what has happened with TSM, despite the 19 and 35 regular season record for this team, I feel like he's actually done a lot. And I want to kind of go through this and explain what I mean by that, right? So we had the LCS spring team, the worst, TSM regular season team of all time, and one where, we had Kaido take over, Shinyi, Yursan, all these players that maybe weren't actually all that good, except for probably Shinyi, honestly. He was kind of screwed over by he who shall not be named. TSM were also going through a lot of changes at that time, if people remember, right? We had the change, in terms of leadership with Lena leaving, and a few other people leaving, with Dominic coming in, and Lena being the one, approving a lot of these changes apparently, and then Dominic not really agreeing with them. And, I was told during this entire split, basically, that, TSM were getting rid of their players from China, that the experiment wasn't going to continue after the first split. And then, all the other ugliness came out. We head into the summer, right, where Huni retires. They bring up Soul, they send him back down. They bring in Solo, and he does fine enough, to help them get some wins. You had Mia, who was supposed to be, this guy they were taking a chance on, similar to Boogie, actually, if you really think about it, from the Latin American leagues, and that didn't really work out either. They had two different bot laners, which I know part of this was decisions by Chawy, but then in the playoffs, he pulled off that genius move to bring in Tactical to help them win the FlyQuest series. And, yeah, I mean, it just kind of was like super freaking wacky, to say the least. That said, we again, like I said, we win the FlyQuest series 3-2 actually, and then we push EG to the brink. He has a 5-5 playoff record and a making him 50-50 500 for that, but he's got a 35% win percentage in the regular season. So then we get into this season, right? Where they end up having to sit solo for, whatever that reason may be. Then, we go into the whole changing out Neo for Wild Turtle, which ended up working out. And we watched this team kind of develop, into a team that realistically should have probably made playoffs. That I think maybe they weren't better than 100 Thieves, but they at least put themselves in that position to be there, right? And 8-10, like I said, is generally, and when a league is not having everybody play really well, not everybody, but a lot of teams playing pretty well, at least well enough to make playoffs, which is rare for our league. That's normally good enough, right? And so for me, I look back at Chawy's tenure as our head coach, and it looks to me kind of like it looks to me like somebody who is doing the best given a bad situation. And what I mean by that is that everything that could be going wrong is generally going wrong for this team and this organization while Chawy is coach. And I was one of the first people who were saying, especially during the spring and the summer, like, man, I just don't know if Chawy is it, right? Here's the deal. My mindset on that has shifted dramatically since then. I really do believe watching TSM Legends and seeing all of the external factors that have not allowed him to be the best coach that he could be, right? That have, kept him, he's not even coaching a very good team overall, honestly. Like, they're not a bad team, obviously, but, like, guys, I mean, let's be honest here. Solo and Hanser both have been out of the league generally for years at this point, up until TSM brought Solo back. Boogie had never played even in a major region before. Maple was kicked out of, one of the best regions in the world. Neo has now been sent down and has not looked great 2 straight years. Wild Turtle had also been out of the league for a while, and Chime was really the only prospect or only person who was brought up, who had zero time, by the way, before the split, basically, before summer split. I know he had like half a split with Golden Guardians, but that's not really a lot, given his age and position and all these other things, right? So, you take all these misfit toys, we'll call it, and you bring them all together, and you're able to produce an 8-10 result and be pushing for a playoff spot this year. Your summer split is rife with chaos, with your laners leaving and your supports from unknown regions basically not working out, making the tactical decision, not intentionally, I guess no pun intended, but like, to bring in tactical in that series to kind of change things up, right? Like, everything that has happened with him in the LCS split, like, he has yet to have just a split with the same 5 players. He has yet to have a split where he has been given any resources. And yet I still am watching this guy battle day in and day out, and I'm impressed. What he has turned some of these players, like, they made, and yes, Maple switching from one region to another, like, he didn't look great in the summer, then he hit his stride in the playoffs, and he was really good in the spring, and now we've even lost Maple, right? So, like, I'm really interested to see what Chavy's able to do given the team that he's going to have, which is going to be some variation of Hanser, Boogie, who the hell knows in the mid lane. I would love to see APA. I think that would make things very interesting for me personally. Wild Turtle and Chime, and I think a team like that, like, and if you just stick with them through the summer, if this man can coach them to anything above like 7th place during the regular season. I mean, I would hope to at least make playoffs, but you never know. But then, anything above seventh place, I'm going to be impressed because, again, most of these guys weren't even playing League of Legends, like, at least professionally for a little while. And it would be a hell of a coaching job by him. And so when I look at the future for Chawy, he's not going to be Parth in the same sense that I think Parth is just giga brain, right? In terms of the scene and his ability to, I think, look at the scene as a whole, even when he's on a team, right? And be able to map things out. But I think Chawy is probably, because he played for so long, a better tactical coach, a better coach that can understand what the players need, hopefully, and is able to get the best out of the players that he has. Whereas I think Parth was given great pieces and was able to strategize well with them, but we didn't always get the best out of every player on TSM under Parth necessarily, right? They were still obviously very good. They won championships and everything like that, but I think their coaching style was just a little bit different. What I think is the comparison is that if I'm TSM, and let's not forget that Chawy is now doing this as the only coach on either team, as they let go of Glenn and the assistant coach. She was, I forget exactly what her title was, but she is also now gone, right? So he has no help, and we're going back to like ancient times for the LCS where one coach basically did everything, and I think Chawy can handle it. So if I'm them, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to make him the general manager as well, and to let him make roster decisions and signing decisions as well. Put your eggs in the Chawy basket and kind of see where things go from there, because I think we might be surprised, honestly. He's still young. Obviously, he's only 31 years old. Like, I mean, he's about the same age as me. And, you know, like, I'm just of the opinion that he has done so much with so little, and with so little support, that they should give him the dual role, pay him a little bit more at least, to do both, and let him build out this roster. Let him make the decisions, because the only real criticism I've had is it feels like he pulls the plug at random times, but I'm sure he's got a good pulse on it, and I'm starting to just trust him more. I mean, this team won big games. They played pretty well. They were better than, obviously, most of the teams in the LCS at different points of the season. If they didn't have the epic collapse they did in the last, 5-6 games, this team was well on their way to a playoff spot. So, I don't think this is they were who we thought they were kind of territory for them. I think it's Chawy really putting this team into a good position, understanding their strengths and what they needed to do to win games, and coaching them to that ability. I just think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's had to do, honestly. And I think that I really do believe that if they give him a little more control and they say, hey, here you go, just do your thing this summer, especially if it's going to end up being the last TSM split. I don't know. I really don't. I'm hoping not. The rumors of there not being a lot of buyers right now or something like that, at least, or things have slowed down compared to what it looked like it was about to be. It looked like it was about to be a fire sale of 5 teams in the LCS, even just a couple weeks ago. And it looks like things have obviously slowed down since then. But, excuse me, I just really believe that TSM should let Chawy cook, man. Let him cook, leave him be, right? Just give him the keys to the castle and just go do his thing. So that's my hope. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment sections below. Am I just crazy on hopium, or am I just, I guess, even crazier on copium based on what we've seen? I know his record may not suggest it, but I'm going to give one last little example here. For the NFL, my Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor was horrible for his first 2 years. And yes, they lucked into Joe Burrow. I totally get that. But he had a plan going in from day one. He made it very clear what he wanted to accomplish and the kind of results he wanted, and the team mentality and the culture that he wanted to change in Cincinnati. Lo and behold, they finished in the top 4 in the NFL, which is pretty hard to do, 2 straight years. If Chawy can luck into a couple young players, right, and they give him the chance to really expand his knowledge, to grow the team in the way that the vision that he would have with it, I think this team could potentially do something similar. I really do. But we'll see. I would really love to know what you guys think. So yeah, leave comments in the comment section below. And with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.